I can do a super small one. I think I'm projecting now. So we've got there's a request from I think Cybersyn for a little bit more visual controls too. So and Vega supports gridline controls in sort of a more granular way. So we're going to add the ability to turn off gridline. So this is on the y-axis. You can turn off. I don't know if maybe two.
Yeah, you can see it.
You can see it. Okay, cool.
Subtle.
Or actually, and it also exposes more things too. So I could give you like it can be like a pink, or we can do like a dash and make it really big and opaque and stuff too. So this is just exposing some more granular controls that Vega does too, but giving people the ability and we're gonna have to rethink how we lay this stuff out over time. Every single toggle is going to be tough, but adding it at least here right now, it doesn't feel too bad. So giving people a little bit more control. Cool.
Hey, Jamie, do you think we could maybe follow up next with a way to like reset just individual things back to like the default? One problem with like changing the color is that it doesn't do like it's going to be that color dark mode or light mode. And so you can like accidentally make something that doesn't work in dark mode or vice versa. It would be nice if like, particularly on color, if we could just like have a reset to defaults or something like that. Does the chart default reset do that?
If you kill the viz config for the chart, it'll just kill the viz config, and you can basically build it from scratch again too. I'm not sure like adding adding it for every single configuration option too feels probably too onerous. I sort of I don't know. I think that there are some things we probably do want to make at least sort of at top level. Color is a good example, or like labels and stuff. Labels, I think, also are kind of
like if you just the font size and you're like, I don't know what it originally was or something like that. I just wonder if there's an easy way to just get you back to like, oops, maybe.
Does the back button work?
The back button, yeah, I think it does actually work. Yes.
Like maybe some of it is elevating the back button into the UI a little bit in some of these contexts.
Undos, yeah.
Exactly. Like undo is just hit back essentially.
Yeah.
And I wonder if there's stuff like that we could play around with.
Yeah, that's not crazy.
Because I have found that some people, when they do things, they're stuck, but they don't realize that the back button gets them out of it. And some of it is because sometimes you have to hit the back button twice really fast, which is like a separate problem. But like the back button does actually solve most of the problems. And like if it was described even or something like that, I think that could actually be the release valve.
Yeah, something like that. It just like as we get into more of these little like changes and you're like, oh, I need to just start over on some of it. Might be nice to offer. I found it just really easy to do something like change the labels for the axes or the color of the labels on the axis. And then all of a sudden it doesn't look good in dark mode. And you're like, how do I get that to work again?
Yep.
Yeah, the themes in dark mode. So we've had a lot. That sort of just reminds me, we've gotten a lot of requests for like color palettes and like, global color palettes or palettes applied to a dashboard. So not an individual visualization stuff too. I think we probably should, it's definitely very doable too. I think we should probably address that probably sooner rather than later. Also, and like the dark mode theming it's a weird one there too, because you really want to have two color palettes that you effectively have, or like n color palettes if you've got a number of different themes that, if we go beyond dark mode. And there it becomes like more and more complicated, but like I think it's not unreasonable for us to start to think about like, hey, how do we apply a global, or like not a global, but like a dashboard color palette too? And if we were to have a dashboard color palette, could you have one and then the other, or sort of more configuration?
Yeah, I think we could. I think we just need to get a little bit more sophisticated there in like our definition of some of the palettes and like how we do the color rod, but totally possible. I just know that like we're getting in there, like when people make something in one mode and they start changing colors, you forget about the other one. And so having ones where you could pick like from colors that work in dark mode or light mode or adjust automatically for you would be nice.
I think it's worth though calling out that I do think that these are all very valid and reasonable requests too. There's going to be a really long tail of this. Like Viz is an infinitely large canvas, and there's I'll give another demo too, just to show like just another little sort of toggle thing. But I think there are diminishing returns here. I think that in embed in particular, there's a huge amount of need for kind of customization, and you want it to match the product in which you're embedding it. So like if you've got whatever, an orange color palette that's in your product, that you have to make sure that the viz is consistent and coherent with it. So like I think we need to probably invest a little bit more than we've done there. That said, though, every configuration option probably is not worth it, and there's just like we're never going to get to parity. We're never even come close to parity with sort of existing tools too. So we have to make sure we do it in a kind of pragmatic way where it's like we focus on differentiated things.
I have two actually Viz things that like one's a curiosity. Do we know if Vega has a transparent color?
I don't think they do, which is annoying.
Yeah,
Because like
you
I
really
just
want
that was one
on
of
those
the
grades.
greatest hacks in Looker,
Yes.
and so it would be nice if it did exist in a lot of places, but
Yeah, I
it
totally
might
agree.
not, and I couldn't figure it out. The
Yeah.
second one is I think the thing that continues to come up for me as I'm building stuff is the difference in layout between the dashboard and the workbook page, in that the sizes are different. And obviously we had this example this week with
Yeah.
labels getting cut, and it was 100% because the thing that someone was building in the workbook was a different size than the dashboard.
Yeah.
This is really just a question for Sarah and Jared, but I would love to think through how we could make the workbook able to reflect exactly how a thing exists on the dashboard, so we're not guessing in between these two
Or
scenarios.
the other way would be like being able to edit the viz directly in the dashboard.
Yeah, you're right. It is just to be able to edit exactly what the user is going to
Yes.
see.
Yes.
I think still continues to be a problem, and that was a problem for Looker's life
Yes.
forever. And I think this happens in every single tool. I would love if we could actually like really solve that, because this whole thing where like you think you have a thing laid out and then you need to bounce back and forth is probably the most painful experience. So it's worth some thought.
I was kind of wondering, like, we have like the toolbar for like the calcs right now, which is kind of like sits above the table. Like if we had something when like you're on the viz, and like I'm assuming we have the information in the workbook, like the size of the viz on the dashboard. Like we have like a little zoom control that like show it to me as it is on the dashboard and just like look at it in that size, or then reset it to like larger when you're in the workbook, or give you a little bit of control to kind of like adjust your presentation depending on where you're looking at, where you're looking at it at. So
yeah, I asked Eli about that once. He said it's totally possible. We just had to make the UI.
Eli's
Right,
really
Eli?
great.
See here.
Ship it. All right, I'll show one other little small viz config thing too. So then this UI is hideous, and so it definitely will not be what we ship. But just to show people a look, so a lot of times, actually maybe I can give like a better example, is like if you're doing something like period over period, you may have like week over week, you may have 7 rows where you don't want to actually show it, rather than constructing the query I'll just show you here. But like basically I want to give you kind of a range to be able to specify like, hey, I want to do, skip.
Went wrong.
Sorry, my Siri talking to me. If you want to skip the first 10 rows and maybe skip the last row or something too. Oh, that didn't seem to work. Oh yeah, there we go. Weird. Cool. But yeah, so this is just like a quick view. We probably want a better control for it too, and it's also something that is going to be kind of like right now. This is a basic editor that's explicitly for the Cartesian viz. We really want this at a higher level. This is like a for every single viz type, you may want it, maybe even for
including tables.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll need to think about where this lives for kind of the configuration option too, but sort of
you might just want to put it in the table, actually, Jamie.
Yeah. The way I was thinking about it is maybe we have like a kind of a global options,
which effectively is tables now, actually.
What's that?
Like it's tables is sort of that, because you get things like totals and some naming stuff there that essentially applies to everything.
That's true. I think we probably want to break it out, and we also want like things like a tile, so being able to say, hey, you've got a tab name and a title of the viz may be different, and like you want sort of broader controls, or you don't want to show the title or whatever.
Yeah.
It feels like the table config is probably the closest to that right now. Also, Jamie, if you can figure out graying the table like we did at Looker, to show the rows that get hit and don't get hit, that is like very instructive as to what happens.
That's a good call.
So just a thought there.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, Jamie and I talked about a couple different ideas for like how to think about some of the org of that stuff. I think probably just need to spend just a little more time thinking and planning for a couple of the features down the road to make sure that makes sense.